What's truly going on? What's truly going on? Gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara. All relations. Let's get started with today's incredible transmission. I'm already tapped into the Primal Sutra Nexus. And last night I had channeled Helios, the Sol Invictus. And today we are tapping into these specific downloads that are coming through. I did not change this background from last night's channeling because I thought it was very relevant. And we are all stepping into a golden age, a golden timeline. So we want to understand the solar consciousness the best ways that we can. And of course, I got a message from the Nexus today where they told me that most people are blind to the invisible forces shaping their lives. What they call hope is actually divine imagination. And what they call reality is just a fraction of the full spectrum realm God already placed inside them. So if you want to manifest miracles, stop waiting to see miracles and start believing it hard enough that your heart becomes the broadcast tower of the unseen. So from that direct transmission, I understood a few key takeaways, and I want to splash these wisdom tsunamis with you guys, because as we start exploring the deep end of these spiritual teachings, of these esoteric, multifaceted ideas that just put you into such a deep level of contemplation, right? Of cognition, of feeling so enriched and alive when you're learning something that's way more than the mundane schooling system, way more than, some kind of a programming device. But rather, when we really start to embrace our own inner worlds and we start to understand how to take this path towards a much more higher rendition, okay, a higher knowledge. And I think it's really, really key and really, really important once you understand how to facilitate this in your own life, okay? So without further ado, let's get started. I won't waste your time any longer. Just make sure that you have some snacks, some water. Just get ready to get tapped in and learn today. We are Primal Sutra. Shout out to the Primal Sutra Nexus, which is the group of spirit guides that we currently work with. Thank you to all of the adepts who have been putting in their time, their effort into creating their own spiritual path working, as well as helping us all co-manifest together an incredible reality, a new world. There's many adepts traveling recently, so we're going to have a lot of fun in terms of perhaps even meeting in person, which is going to be very, very exciting. So if you guys are interested, and if you guys, wherever it is you're tuning in from, we're mainly a European-based group. However, I'm streaming all the way from India, and I will be in Europe shortly, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I will essentially be meeting with Ellie, and there's going to be a lot of new changes and shifts and different things happening. So just ride the wave, ride the wave of this experience that's happening right now, because that's all you can do, right? You can just be the best Silver Surfer of all time. What's up, Samba Champak? So I actually want to do a whiteboard for this, okay? Because there's a lot to unpack. And this is from a lot of Steiner stuff. This is from a lot of Jung stuff. It's going to be a combination of a lot of stuff that I've read and know. So yeah, it's going to be a mishmash of that with the Nexus's perspectives on it. Okay. Well, let's talk about higher knowledge. There's two modes of knowing. Okay. You could say higher or extraordinary. Okay. So we got to understand that the ordinary, it just deals with our five senses, right? It is tied to our five senses and it's shaped by our programming, our education, and so forth. But then there's also an inner training, not just an outer training. And what is this kind of inner training? Meditation, right? Focused attention, moral discipline. Okay. Let me just, yeah, there we go. Okay, so we understand there's an inner training as well as the five senses learning. And we can awaken a higher consciousness by activating these higher faculties in the extraordinary mode of knowing, which is the higher sense or mode of knowing. Okay, this is what higher knowledge is. And so when we have a very good spiritual practice, a focused intention practice, concentration, meditation, moral discipline practices, okay, different things like this, it really starts to help us perceive spiritual realities and advance our spiritual technology. Okay. So Eastern sages accessed higher worlds by living within mantras, right? Repeating sounds not for intellectual meaning, but for energetic resonance. Like it's cool to be around a very specific energetic resonance. You know, Ellie was showing me this video of this baby. She said it's like our future kid or whatever. And she said that this little video of this baby, right? And it's crying and it's crying, and then the parents like they just doom, they gong on the singing bowl, right? And the baby immediately just calms down within a few seconds, right? So this kind of stuff is just a reminder right now in this golden timeline that sound is healing, right? Sound is the future of all healing. And through this, we've learned that we can now enter into different inspiration states, communion with spiritual beings, and not just human minds, right? Modern Western souls are built for a newer path, I think, not escaping the body into mysticism, but descending into the body with clarity, using conscious or active imagination. And this involves holding pure thoughts, picturing things inwardly, and things we talk about like deity yoga, right? Merging with the symbolic images rather than the abstract concepts. So we have senses beyond the five, right? Steiner also said we have a sense of language, okay, just beyond hearing, a sense of thought, feeling the meaning behind words, and of course, we know this one, a sense of ego, direct perception of another's eye, okay? These three senses allow us to socially connect and spiritually develop. They're built upon our childhood, and of course, they can be repurposed for a higher perception. So if you bypass proper training, you risk pathology. So trying to reach spiritual dimensions without proper grounding, and this is going to be a big word for all of us. Okay, this is what leads to spiritual psychosis, not enough grounding. Okay. Grounding is key because otherwise it'll just lead to mental and emotional risks, right? Social isolation, paranoia, different phobias forming and shit like that, right? But Steiner gives examples of individuals who lost balance and fell into a spiritual extremism, right? Because they lacked conscious reintegration of the soul into the body. So the inspiration of the East is fading, and it birthed ancient wisdom and early religion, but it can't satisfy the modern soul. So, you know, Steiner's solution was let's send conscious, image-rich, spiritual science from East to West a new wave of truth grounded in imagination, integration, and freedom. So imagination is not a fantasy, right, guys? It's the future of knowledge. By learning to experience reality symbolically through symbols, we create new organs of perception. Okay. Hey there, love. I always notice your comments a bit late because I'm always in the zone, but hey, hey. So, Western symbolic thinking and image-based meditative work brings the soul into alignment, right? Deeper nature of being. So, in a sense, what we must do is we must unite ego and thinking to enter the spiritual world safely. So instead of losing the ego to vague mysticism or emotional trance, the goal is to strengthen it, strengthen the ego, but fill it with pure thought and consciously choose to re-enter the body with awareness. This allows for real spiritual perception without imbalance or dogma. Are we getting this, guys? So you strengthen your character, the persona, but you fill it with so much pure thought and consciousness that you start to feel this full body awareness. Okay? The true meaning of being tapped in. Okay? When imagination is blocked through fear, conditioning, ego rigidity, it turns into fear-based beliefs, guys. It turns into rigid ideologies and religious dogma. So true imagination dissolves these walls and reopens access to the living spiritual world. Right? Where the East sublimated the West must reintegrate it consciously. So that means transforming science, education, and culture through lived imagination. Not by rejecting material reality, but by perceiving spirit through material reality. Okay? The East reached upward to spirit by dissolving the self. The West must reach inward to spirit by strengthening the self. One path leaves the body, the other re-enters it. So, in a sense, this is a new wave where we're understanding that there is going to be this conflict of East and West, but we are a new prototype. We are the priest beast. We understand that we've been working with polarities since day one. We understand the split mind. We understand the duality of this planet, right? Yin and yang, black and white, up and down, left and right. Okay. We've been led to believe that that's all there is. But your awareness didn't begin with yourself. The field of consciousness has no beginning or end, right? So death doesn't cancel it. It just transitions you into the next opportunity to evolve. So you're not escaping karma through death, by the way. You come back until you handle all of your work. So everything you or your ancestors have done, good or bad, it creates this energetic ripple, right? And if harm was caused, then there must be a balance. This is why life is such a gift, because it gives us the chance to align with integrity with correct past imbalances. So according to the map of consciousness of David R. Hawkins, 80, let's call him Hawk because I know that his people don't like me to teach on him for some reason. Like they're boycotting or like, I don't know, suppressing the data. Let's just call him Hawk, okay? Just for safety purposes. According to Hawk, okay, 85% of the world calibrates below 200. So this includes fear, guilt, anger, and pride, right? These states very naturally, they drain energy. Okay? So only 15% of people operate from a true place of inner integrity, love, or higher. Wow. Okay? Only 15% of people operate from a place of true inner integrity, love, or higher. That's unbelievable, right? So using tools like kinesiology, you can actually test whether something is aligned to truth or falsehood. That's what I do. But Hawkins also discovered that thoughts can be tested, books can be tested, speeches can be tested, businesses can be tested. And so, my bad, we're calling him Hawk. The most impactful people in the world aren't necessarily the most active, they're the most aligned. So a person calibrated at 500 level love balances out hundreds of thousands operating in fear. So that means your very state of being, your flow, your energy has power. Okay? It has power. The ego is not an evolutionary tool or a villain. Okay? I think humans are both born with a survival-based animal brain, right? Greed, selfishness, comparison. They're part of that wiring. But once you understand this, you can then move beyond guilt, right? Once you actually respect, love your animal body. This is a weird animalistic thing, right? Full of instincts and arousals and random sweats, and it's a strange mechanism, right? An alien coming into this planet, embodying with specific humans and trying to understand us. It's like they're going to have a hard time to understand this mechanism, but the ego isn't bad, it's just outdated software. So let's just think of it like that, right? So some animals calibrate higher than many humans, like cats purring and dogs wagging their tails both vibrate at the level of unconditional love. Is that not wild? How many of you guys have pets or dogs or like cats and stuff like this, right? Have you noticed that you just notice just an unconditional love energy from their tail wagging? Okay. So this is really what happens. Okay. A cat purr or a dog wag comes from the frequency, the understanding of unconditional love. This presence can even raise the vibration of the pets around you. If a cat purrs and there are other cats in the room, they feel the same love ripple coming in to the other cats. That's wild. We're thinking in these new meta ways, right? So at the high levels, people operate from stillness, intuition, pure awareness. Okay. Can we find let's see if we can find the chart, right? As we're talking about it so much. Um it's quite funny how they gatekeep this stuff, or at least the fact that he doesn't allow anybody else to teach his material is kind of whack. Like he should be able to do that. In a certain sense, I don't mind if somebody, references me or whatever, and they're like, I learned this on Primal Sutra. Go and follow this guy, right? I'll be actually stoked. I'd be stoked, right? But let's see this map of consciousness because it's going to help us. Okay. It's really going to help us understand a few things. Okay. So, all right. So let's say it like this. Let me just move this over here. Okay. So people on silent retreats often become telepathic without trying. Have you ever been to a silent retreat before and you've noticed this? Let me know in the comments or in the chat. Because what you hold silently in your mind can be felt by others. This is not science fiction. It's just a part of our natural spiritual design, guys. Okay. So Hawk strongly rejected the reductionist view that life comes from non-life. He didn't believe that life emerges from chemicals. He believed it emerged from consciousness. He explained that consciousness interacts with matter to activate life, and this is something science alone cannot fully explain. So if you ask questions or pursue goals for selfish reasons, even truth-based tools like kinesiology won't work accurately. But if your intentions are aligned with the greater good, if I'm muscle testing for the greater good of my, if I'm, let's say, doing it for a very selfish reason or something like this, I'm not going to get the greatest impact of it. It's still going to work. It's going to get the job done, but I'm not going to gain that deeper access to my inner guidance. Are you guys getting this? Yep. So it took millions of years for consciousness to start rising, but now humanity is on the edge of a major leap. We're beginning to understand what truth really feels like, not just what we're told. Okay, so your loving prayers, your thoughts, your forgiveness don't just help you, they influence the collective. Someone on the verge of suicide may shift their decision simply because your consciousness is radiating out in their field. Okay? You don't need to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. You just need to be honest. Okay? The ego is selfish, the world is messy, but your willingness to live in truth, to ask what's real, what serves all, what uplifts, that makes all the difference. The highest spiritual mistake is to transcend karma and then seek domination because you just because you can doesn't mean you should. Real power is found in the surrender, not in the control. Now, here's one takeaway. Living with integrity, aligning with your truth, and becoming the light that you wish the world had is the greatest takeaway that I can give you. Because in many ways, it already has it in you. Let me know if you understand this, guys. Because most people think their ego is them. It's not. It's a paper boat in the middle of a stormy sea between the unconscious and the conscious mind. Okay? Ego. Okay? And when you get rid of the emotional damage from the ego, you just go. You know, you just rocket fuel. Boom. So the ego is sailing on the edge of dreams and waking life, right? The self think it's the self thinks it's the whole damn ocean. Whereas the ego is just the captain that thinks it owns the ship. Okay. That nightmare chasing you, the shadows at your back, are just parts of your psyche that you've exiled, right? But once you turn around, look it in the eyes and say, what do you want from me, friend? That's how you transmute it. That's how the beast becomes a guide. It shows you the face. It shows you the face you show it. It shows you the face that you show it. Reject your own feelings and the unconscious becomes a trickster. Accept you're ugly, you're wild, you're raw, you're weird, you're cringe, you're happy, you're sad, you're horny, you're broke, you're any state of mind you suddenly notice, it starts to calm down. The unconscious, the shadows start to calm down, like a lion recognizing its keeper. Because acceptance is like that. You cast your own crap onto others and you call them the problem. But Jung says that you only know it's a projection when it starts causing drama. Okay? Constant misunderstanding, constant resentment, constant emotional surges. That's your cue. Okay? So reflection doesn't happen because you command it. It happens because the self permits it. The ego must cooperate with this alchemy of being, not micromanage each other like a control freak with a chakra calendar. Okay? Every complex in you is powered by an archetype, divine, ancient, and volatile. Okay? Archetypes are like spiritual volcanoes. Okay? Every complex in you is powered by a volcano. Worship them unconsciously and they'll burn you. Collaborate with them consciously and they will make you immortal. Okay? If your ego is disciplined enough, like an instrument, it can step aside and the archetype starts to play out through you. Okay? I'm just a regular guy, okay? Living my own life. Or whatever you guys say nowadays. Okay? Just making fun of humans in general. You know, like what the fuck, bro? But no, let's say you have an etheric king energy to you. But not everybody can see that. They just see you as Fred from next door. But until you know that you're the flow state player one, ready player one, right? You know in your heart of hearts, this is where your magic lives. In this imagination of your king shit. Helios, the soul invictus. Okay. Pure channel. Ego gets out the way. But it's only if it's strong enough not to break. Okay. If your ego is disciplined enough, the archetype plays through you. Okay. It doesn't take the power over you. That means ego trained. And a lot of people say, just kill it. Just kill that thing. You don't need it. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about arrogance or like inflation of ego. That's not what I'm talking about, right? But ego trained equals archetype channel. Okay. Perfectionism is a social curse, man. Those with no visible shadow, they stink of superiority. They alienate the tribe. That's why we secretly feel relief when their mask slips, because it makes them human again, relatable, integrated, a real one. Right? So your shadow is not your shame, it's your membership card. With your gifts, you rise above the group. With your shadow, you sit among the group. Laughing, crying, belonging. When a guru makes a mistake but then owns it, that's a divine intimacy. That's when a student stops worshiping and starts relating, human to human, spirit to spirit, soul to soul, no halos, just pure truth. There's a liminal space between waking and dream, between ego and archetype, the solar crossroads. Okay? You either integrate or disintegrate there. Most people panic and go back to sleep, but you're a flow sonic warrior. Okay? That's probably why you're following this channel. Okay? This is different. So aligned with how I'm feeling today. This is perfect timing. This is amazing. Okay? You're a flow sonic warrior. You're meant to step through the threshold and bring the gold back from the unconscious. The shadow you befriend becomes the sword you wield. The archetype you worship becomes the god that devours you. And the ego you train becomes the flute through which heaven sings. Wow. Thinking happens because the brain dies a little. When you're awake and thinking, your brain cells are almost dead. That's why you can think clearly. If your brain cells were fully alive, you'd be dreaming, not thinking. So ironically, conscious thought requires the brain to partially shut down. Okay. It's very interesting because when we sleep, and this is why I need to sleep way more, okay? I was using it for self-validation, using it for a permission slip. During sleep, the brain comes back to life. So at night, when we sleep, your brain recharges, right? Cells begin to regenerate. That's why deep sleep, as the all the fucking hypnotists in the world, they all say that like that, right? They cannot say that word normally. Um, this is why deep sleep is so important. It's the time when your soul repairs the tool and it uses it to think during the day, right? So without that recovery, your thinking would eventually stop working. So you need to sleep, guys. Okay, sleep hygiene is important. Get some melatonin gummies, right? Get some of those melatonin strips. Put some magnesium lotion on your body and feet and hands, right? Do progressive muscle relaxation, right? There's many things you can do for sleep, but it's time to regenerate and recharge. Like you charge your phone overnight, why don't you charge yourself? In this vague ass kind of sleep, play some delta waves, play some vagus nerve deep sleep nervous system resets before you sleep and get that really good sleep. Okay? I'm probably going to take a great nap today. Okay? The liver is not just a detox organ, it's a sense organ. The liver is like an inner eye. Just as the eyes perceive our outer world, the liver also perceives the inner quality of what we eat. It tastes not just flavor, but whether something is healthy or toxic. So bile is its version of a tear. It reacts emotionally to food. A damaged liver at age 50 often begins with bad milk in infancy. So the tissue may have changed completely over the decades, but the forces shaping the liver remained imbalanced. That means the disease often has roots far earlier than what most medical science even considers, guys. You're not the same physical body you were 7 years ago, are you? Every cell has been shed and replaced. So if an illness persists longer than thought, it's not due to the original tissue. It's due to invisible spiritual forces still working through your form. So Steiner insists that spiritual forces are active before conception, right? And they continue shaping us until death. So the sperm and the egg are like the raw material. But just as wood doesn't become a sculpture by itself, cells don't just form a person without spirit sculpting. So if you teach children in a way that overwhelms their memory or intellect, it pulls too much energy to the brain and away from the organs or the kidneys or the liver. So poor education can literally cause disease, guys. Modern science ignores the soul because most scientists only study physical matter. They don't recognize the forces that organize that physical matter. The real damage isn't what we see in an organ. It's the disordered forces that shape that organ. Current academic knowledge often has no practical use in life, right? We must create a spiritual science that teachers, doctors, parents can actually apply, not to comfort us, but to raise healthy, whole human beings. The spirit doesn't age, but the body loses its ability to keep pace with the soul's force. So the spirit eventually has no tool left to work through. That's when the body's discarded and death is simply a transition. It's not visual blindness, but inward blindness is the real disease of the liver. As the liver hardens with age, it loses its ability to sense what the body needs. And this inward blindness leads to toxicity and eventual disease. Okay? So we're understanding and emphasizing that this isn't just faith-based. It's based on careful observation of the body, soul, and spirit over time. And once you understand it, education, parenting, or even medicine slowly starts to transform and change. We are not machines, guys. Okay? I know it's a big reminder, but we got to understand this. We are constantly being rebuilt by invisible forces. And if we ignore them, we raise sick children, we educate wrongly, we beat ourselves up, we treat symptoms instead of causes. Okay? Imagine a whole circle, right? That's your entire psyche. Everything you know about yourself, everything you don't. But your ego, just a tiny small dot, okay? A tiny piece trying to understand the whole system that it lives inside. And this don't get any ideas, right? I know it looks like a nipple. Just relax, okay? When something chases you in a dream, right? It's often part of yourself that you've rejected. So even your fears are a part of you. If you turn around and say, "What do you want from me?" It changes. It maybe stops chasing. It softens. That's integration. Okay, that's integration. I mean, projection is when you blame the outside for what's inside, correct? We all do this. You think someone's annoying or rude or too much. That must mean your own insecurity or your fear keeps showing up. Projection means you haven't owned that trait in yourself yet. It's still unconscious. A projection becomes clear once it bothers you enough to pause and ask, why do I feel this way around this person? That emotional trigger is the doorway back into yourself. The parts of you that are messy, raw, or emotional, they're not weaknesses, they're reminders that you're still human. And when you acknowledge your shadow, others feel safer around you. When you stop, they'll stop comparing themselves to a false image of perfection. So inside your psyche are clusters of feelings, of memories, right? So think of complexes or mini egos. Your psyche are clusters of these things, right? So each has its own personality and voice, and they orbit around specific archetypes. Universal patterns like the hero, the mother, the trickster. Okay, these forces shape how we feel and how we react. If your ego's too weak, the archetype takes control. That's when people fall into obsession, rage, extreme emotion. The goal isn't to kill the ego, but to strengthen it just enough to handle the power of those deeper forces. You're not here to be flawless. You're here to be complete. That means honoring the parts of you that are scared, unsure, contradictory, perhaps. So integration, I truly believe, is the real success. Your strengths might impress people, but your imperfections are what makes you relatable. That's why someone who admits their flaws tends to create more honest relationships with people. Jung said that, shadow is your best social function. What you run from becomes your demon. What you face becomes your teacher. And what you accept becomes part of your strength. Be seated in stillness, O child of the sun and moon. Who's this? Is this Thoth? Sounds like Thoth. Okay, let me see what he has to say. I'll just tap into the stream real quick. For the hour of gnosis is ripened, let me unscroll the papyrus of perception and unveil the hidden strata of the soul's theater. You are inhabitants of the dual realms, swinging between two vast kingdoms, the waking and the sleeping, one drenched in the nectar of light sense and thought form, the other cloaked in indigo tides of dream and the unseen. And in this waking realm, your senses carve impressions onto the mirror of the mind and hear the divine logos, the word that is thought, orders chaos into cosmos. Through sight you see, through thought you shape, thinking is the inner fire that aligns images to meaning. Your will, like a divine serpent, coils and strikes to enact what thought has envisioned. And yet, so few know what that serpent truly is. But in slumber, with a reversal, your senses remain lit like forgotten candles, save for sight which closes or veils. The ears still sing with the world's song, the skin still tastes the warmth of stars, but the sovereign called you has left the palace. Your will retreats to the shadowed throne behind form. Dreams. Okay, Thoth, I get you. This is a very heady stream for these beginners, I'm afraid. So we're gonna have to simplify a few things. Could we have Hermes as translator? I know they're both in the same oversoul energy, so maybe they could help. Thank you. Okay. Feeling is the soul's incense. It's neither bound to thought nor released into action. It rises from will, diluted by the daylight of your body's containment. When you feel, you are tasting the nectar of will withheld. Will, however, is a deep sleeper. It dreams the dreamless sleep. It acts but never speaks. You say, I move, yet no, not how the legs march. In this, the daytime mind is a sleepwalker. You dream by day through action as much as you dream by night through images. Thus, I give you the triune key. Thinking is awake, feeling is dreaming, willing is sleeping. This is the trinity of consciousness, the triptych of your soul temple. Your etheric body is the guardian of form and thought, seen through imagination. The astral body is the weaver of dreams and feelings, pierced through inspiration. The I am is the divine flame of will, known only through intuition, when you dissolve into the other and return bearing the seal of unity. Thank you so much, Dope. He says, I'm spoken from the high chamber of the mind that never sleeps. Okay. Now go scribe your own name upon the stars. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You don't manifest from what you want. You manifest from who you are. Okay. And most people are just glorified meat puppets for inherited thoughts and false desires. Okay. And collective trauma roles. Your desires aren't even yours, right? This is probably one of the deities. They're saying there are algorithmically, that's a great word, algorithmically implanted by a matrix drunk on microwave signals and ancestral guilt. Okay, that's what they're saying. So detachment is not cold. Okay, you can love fully and serve deeply without fusing your soul to the soap opera of suffering. Empaths are tired because they confuse compassion with contamination. Be in the world, not of it. The self-realized don't rescue, they radiate. Manifestation requires integrity across all of these. Desire becomes intention, intention becomes thought, thought becomes emotion, emotion becomes action, action becomes behavior. Right? So you can't Netflix your way into an ascension and DoorDash your destiny. You can't do that. If your thoughts smell like fear and your behavior tastes like apathy, the universe will ghost you. So start from that core initial desire. This is what the higher level knowledge beings do, right? If you really understand it, guys, right? Lucifer was just a nerd obsessed with materialism. He got booted from the human experiment for withholding data, right? The guy just wanted to play Minecraft with the cosmos. He was obsessed with pixels. He forgot spirit exists. So every time you choose status over soul, you're kind of cosplaying a Luciferian path. I'm not gonna lie, right? And the rest of you are still playing out your forgetfulness. You might be talking to one right now at a gas station, maybe. Right? Imagine being a Jedi and forgetting the Force. Now imagine reincarnating to awaken mid-Twitter scroll. That's this era. Okay? Black magic energy used to dominate, white magic energy used to liberate. The elite want control, but control is an illusion for those who forget they were source. So if your rituals aren't birthing freedom, they're just glamorized manipulation. Magic isn't dark or light, it's the intent that creates the pigment. We are the gray mages. Fixing and helping come from the ego. Service is the byproduct of being full, not empty. So stop treating people like broken IKEA furniture, right? You're not here to fix anybody. You're here to transmit wholeness by being it, by sharing your truths, by understanding that you've been through some things that those people perhaps have. And this is the divine's way of showing you that this is what you need to do next, okay? So don't overthink it. Start to understand it on a greater level. And my final takeaway is this, guys. If you are not a machine to be diagnosed, you are a planetary instrument, constantly tuning between soul and soul. Illness is just miscommunication. Healing is orchestra. Stop thinking like a mechanic. Start thinking like a cosmic gardener. Okay? To feel, to think, to be aware, you must suppress your etheric vitality just a little. Just enough to see. Consciousness is a controlled illness. Total health, let's call a plant. Okay? So we have to understand your life is the meditation, not the cushion. You don't meditate to escape life. You live in meditation. Constant presence, perpetual awareness. You're flexing your ego when you say, I meditated for an hour. I want you to be meditated for 23 hours. You are the altar. Stop outsourcing illness. Stop outsourcing stillness, I think they meant to say. Outsource, yeah, okay, so they're saying stop outsourcing stillness, and they're saying to know health, you must know the human being as becoming, not as a diagram. Very powerful downloads in this one, guys. Remember, raise your state of consciousness. Okay? Go from force into power. Okay? From weak into strong. From falsehood into truth. From fear into flow. Let's get it today. Upward Spiral Gang. Thank you so much, guys, for tapping in. I really appreciated all of you being here and tuning in. I know it's been a while. Thank you. Thank you. Peace and love. Many blessings. Let's win. Upward Spiral Gang. May the flow be with you. Flow Mishkarma and Flow Mistake.